Hi everyone, so it's gonna be week 5. Today is Sunday, so you'll be starting week 5 here soon, and I wanted to get back to you. I'm sorry this video is coming out a little late. I try to do them a little earlier, but of course I was sick. You heard that because I canceled my office hours. If I start coughing, I'm still trying to get over this cold. I hope none of you caught it. It was pretty long and drawn out, and I didn't like it at all. Here I go coughing. I wanted to get back to you guys and give you some more feedback on the papers in a general way. I've gotten everything graded, Microtheme 2 and Microtheme 3. That was Terminator Transformation and The Brief and Frightening Reign of Phil, which is really fun to listen to some of your comments and thoughts about it. Some of you hated it. Some of you really liked it, which is really interesting. It's a different kind of book. Some of you said you would never forget it. I thought that was kind of cool. Let me talk about the microthemes a little bit. I didn't put a lot of notes on these ones as I did the first ones. I just kind of put the rubric grade down. But let me tell you some of the things that I'm seeing. First of all, the biggest concern I'm having with them is that you guys aren't using in-text citations for evidence. Now with movies, it's a little hard to use quotes. But with books and with articles, you should be using evidence to support your ideas. Every well-written essay should have that, and these are feeling a little vague and a little irresponsible with the citations. Some of you are doing a great job. In fact, a couple people are working with APA, and they're just doing fabulous. And if MLA isn't your style, I've mentioned this before, if you're better with APA and you know it, I know that too. You just kind of have to let me know, and I usually can figure it out that that's the style that you're going to work with, and I'll just grade it from that perspective. But you got to pick one of them, and you got to be consistent, and you have to do it well. And there should always be evidence and support in text citations when we're reading a novel or an article, and I'm trying to be generous with the grades so far since we're just trying to get this online class moving really, and you're just starting to see my grading. But starting next week, I'm really going to start after the movie, because we have a movie coming up next week. So the week after that, I'm really going to start dinging those of you who aren't putting in evidence to support your material. I am going to post my MLA PowerPoint on this week so that you can look at that and use that. Hopefully that will be helpful to you. There's just some little mistakes, and like I said, a lot of times there's just no in-text citations. Then little mistakes with the in-text citations, mistakes with the works cited entries, and then some of you are doing page setups that I don't even know what they are. So those things need to be cleaned up and fixed, and I will get tighter on the grading. I've been kind of generous right now, but moving forward, I just want to warn you guys that I'll be more of a stickler on it. Another thing that I'm noticing that is quite absent with your papers are titles. People are putting things down like microtheme essay, microtheme 4, or the title of the book. That's really not a title. It should kind of give me an idea of where you're going to go with the paper. I mean, these online classes are kind of tricky, right? Because we don't have a lot of ways to communicate with one another, and one of the ways that you're communicating to me is through the writing. So I'm inferring a lot about what you're getting and what you're learning through the writing. It's really my only way to tell what you're doing and what you're learning. So some of these have felt really scanty and thin. And then there's been some fabulous ones that are really great. So those are my thoughts and as far as the ideas are going, I don't really have a complaint as far as where you're going unless they're just too thin without enough evidence to support whatever argument that you want to make. I try to stay open to your argument and just make sure that the evidence you're using is supporting it. Because there's a lot of different ways to look at the material that we're considering in this class. Okay, so that kind of tells you a little bit about the papers. The next thing moving forward is we will be looking at Terminator 2 this week, which is another movie. So the citations are a little bit trickier. We won't really be able to do tons of those unless you do specific quotes from the movie or scenes. If you wanted to work it that way, that would be cool. But you still should have a works cited page and a works cited entry. And I've put the prompt up, and this is the same prompt as with Terminator 1. So the same film prompt. So we're looking for issues of technology and science within the actual movie. You could relate them back to the other Terminator movie. You could talk about the two, so many years apart, how those two things worked together. How they're working with the story is another way. You could jump off of your other microtheme. If you had an idea that you really liked, you could address that same idea in the sequel and see what happens. I like this movie. Eddie Furlong's in it. I remember how excited I was when the second Terminator had come out and they had waited so long. I think it's 10 years in between the two movies. And I had loved the first one so much. And I remember going and seeing it at the movie theater. It's interesting when you think back on these sequels. Many of you are watching them maybe for the first time, or you didn't think about them coming out as they did years later, kind of around the dates that some of the stuff was supposed to be happening with Sarah Connor. So there's a lot of promotion and interesting work around these materials. And the connection with technology and how it's depicted in films and science fiction, and then how it works within our society. It's so intriguing, right? What comes first, the cart or the horse? What comes first, the dream of the science fiction in the novel or in the film, or our creation of it, or the beginnings of the creation of it? It's a really intriguing idea to think about. Well, I hope you're enjoying the class. I'm enjoying reading the papers. I hope you're doing well, and I'll talk with you next week. Thanks.